Welcome to This May Get Raw, Building Wise Resilience, a podcast by survivors for survivors. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Sarah. As domestic abuse survivors, we know what it's like to rebuild after the unthinkable. We're here to walk alongside you, from surviving to thriving. Each week, we'll invite you into honest conversations about the hard stuff and the powerful stuff. The shame, the fear, reclaiming your identity, and stepping into the life you deserve.
This may get raw, but that's where transformation happens. Let's get started.
Welcome back to This May Get Raw, Building Wise Resilient. I'm Sarah. Lisa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
I know we're talking about something that's pretty complex today, and a topic that hits really close to home. I know for you especially, and probably for a lot of our listeners. And that is the intersection of spirituality and abusive relationships. So I know you and I have talked about it. This has the potential to be a challenging one for us, probably a challenging one for some of our listeners. So I'm going to hand it over to you because you and I have different experiences of this particular intersection. And I know that your experience might speak more to what other people in our audience might have experienced.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. I think before we begin, we always put disclaimers on YouTube and wherever we can, we put disclaimers right about our topics. Mm-hmm. But this conversation specifically about spirituality is not going to talk about any specific religion or spiritual practice, and nothing is good or bad. It's how abusers weaponize our belief systems and how we can reclaim our spiritual autonomy. But I also understand just the word religion, just the word faith, Bible, whatever, can be very triggering. So if this is a tender part of your story, just feel free to come back to it. It's going to be here. And I thought we could start out with me just sharing some of my stories so that the audience would have a better understanding of kind of where I'm coming from, because I wear multiple hats when talking about this. And then just launching into how spirituality gets weaponized, how it actually works. And I'm coming from the perspective of my own personal experience. Also, as a coach, I help many of my clients work through spirituality, and then also talking with other survivors. So religion, I just use the word faith. So I just want to say deity, God, faith, creator, universe, like there's so many different ways. And so I used to consider myself a religious person. Now I consider myself a spiritual person. So I just want to disclaim that if I kind of go in and out of language, once you hear my story, you'll understand that many of my terms are intertwined. But it is, I do have a faith in a higher being, creator, deity, spirit. So, I
do just want to jump into, like, you are speaking obviously from your personal experience. As always, we recognize that survivors, like any other community, we're not a monolith, right? We all have our different experiences and our different beliefs. So I would just encourage people to, and this is something I've had to navigate over the years, and I'm sure you have too, is to not get hung up on the language that we're using necessarily, right? Swap out whatever word works for you when you're thinking about your own belief systems, if you happen to have one, and even if you don't, this conversation is still really shining a light on how belief systems across a wide spectrum can get weaponized. That doesn't just apply to religion. So try not to get hung up on the specific language, and just kind of to take what it means for you, and kind of swap those words out.
Yeah, and I appreciate that too. Is if something is landing with you, if you hear something, maybe it's time to shut it off. Maybe you're not maybe you're not ready to hear it.
Yeah.
There are many faiths, religions that I've been part of over the course of my life. And now there are certain terms when I hear it, it's like fingers on a chalkboard. And I'm just like, oh,
Yes.
I got to shut this down.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
um, so, yeah, I really appreciate that. So if you can't switch it out, which is obviously very important, just come back to this or don't.
Right. Or
Just
don't.
skip
Yeah.
this one. Yeah.
It speaks to the complexity of the issue that we're trying to tackle here, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And we have talked about how we were recording this in fall of 2025, where there is a lot of religious talk going on. It's been
Hmm.
justified in a lot of actions with this current administration. And so it's
Hmm.
even more loaded
Yeah.
than ever, but also speaks to not only the personal belief systems and how it can be abusive, but how it can be at the larger level, right? At
Hmm.
societal level,
Yeah.
and how faith is weaponized. So
Right.
I'm just
And
putting
how
that
we,
together. Like, yeah, we
yeah,
could
and how we do have the ability to take back our spirituality and say, no,
absolutely
you don't get to define that for me
right,
or
right,
use it against me. Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah. So some of my background is that I grew up in the Catholic Church. My mom is it's actually been part of my life before I was even born. So my mom is English and she's English Protestant, and my dad is Irish Catholic. And they got married in the 70s. My dad met my mom in England, and so there was a lot of religious complexity going on with Northern Ireland, still
Hmm.
is. And so he brought home an English girl. And so that has kind of defined their how they raise their kids. So when at that time
Yeah.
when you marry into the Catholic faith, if you are not married to a Catholic, the non-Catholic partner has to agree to raise the children Catholic.
Hmm.
And so my mom did that. She committed to taking us to mass every week, no matter what. So I grew up in the Catholic Church, and then I became a Christian in high school, where I accepted Jesus Christ into my heart, which is what people associate Christianity with.
Hmm.
Went on missions trips, led small groups, went to Bible college, then became a pastor's wife, planted a church, which some in our audience may not know about, and then became a pastor myself. And when I left my partner, I was an active um, pastor, as was my partner. And I needed to report to the denomination that we were part of, that was my employer, that this was happening. And so my divorce was announced. A letter was sent out to the entire congregation of 600 plus people stating that we were getting a divorce. My children had to live through that. And so um, faith has held me, and faith has been used against me. And so
Hmm.
it's just really, really complex. I was able to figure out pretty quickly, even in my early journey in the Catholic Church, what religion was compared to faith.
Hmm.
Um, and it was not, my faith was not just about my abuser and how it was used against me, but also about the church and my employer and my community and how I was raising my children.
Hmm.
So again, I would identify myself now as a spiritual person. I kind of pick and choose what works for me, what doesn't.
Yep.
Um, so again, for the audience, please understand I'm coming from a place of healing. I'm still trying to figure things out. I was taught that yoga was bad. I love yoga. I love meditation.
Hmm.
Um, journaling always had to involve the Bible. I don't even open the book anymore. I do sing hymns that bring me comfort, but then I question the lyrics.
Hmm.
um, I
Yep.
celebrate major holidays, and some I go, what the heck does the Easter Bunny have to do with this? Like, what's, so there's still, again, as we enter in this conversation, it's from layers that I'm bringing,
Hmm.
layers that I've heard clients talk about, and it's ever evolving, ever healing. So,
Right.
um, do you want to share anything, Sarah, about your journey as we're kind of interacting with this material?
Yeah. Yeah. Faith and religion has played a much smaller role in my story of abuse than yours. I was also raised Catholic. Went to Catholic school from kindergarten all the way up through the end of high school. Was confirmed in the Catholic Church. I am no longer a practicing Catholic. Like you, I definitely identify as spiritual over religious. But I'm fascinated by religion. I actually minored in world religions in college because
Oh,
I'm
cool.
just so fascinated with these systems and structures that humanity has created and the commonalities between them, and how they influence all of human history for better and for worse, right? For good and for bad. So that's just the religion itself as a concept has always just fascinated me. I still love reading about different faiths and hearing people talk about their different beliefs. My underwriting belief is that it's they're all paths to the same place, right? They're just different paths based on the culture that we're raised in, their place that we're born, the time that
Yes.
we're born. But I personally believe they're all pointing to the same place. And so that's kind of what guides my spirituality. Like you, I do pick and choose things that resonate with me and that make me feel connected to that higher power and to the rest of humanity, than the things I don't, and that's just not for me. It's said that without any kind of judgment, that just particular piece doesn't work for me, right? Like just like there are certain cuisines I don't particularly enjoy. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not for me, right? So that's
Yeah.
kind of my buffet style take on spirituality.
Yeah.
Um,
I love that approach, buffet style. We're going to talk about that later as picking and choosing.
yes.
Um, I have been doing some meditations around Buddhism, and I hope
Mm-hmm.
that I'm going to pronounce this right, but they talk about mala beads. So they're kind of
Mm-hmm.
like prayer beads. And I thought of the rosary.
Yeah.
And I was
Yep.
like, oh, another connection, another way that that is very similar. Different
Exactly.
prayers, different ways to use it, but ultimately it's in a fidget toy.
Right, exactly. It's that tactile
It's
connection
the
to keep you
tactile,
focused
yeah,
while
like
you're, yep.
yeah, that has, my dad's still practicing, so it has a lot of richness to it. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's just again that similar thread.
Okay, so yeah, now we've kind of given our listeners a glimpse into our perspectives, and obviously that's coloring our conversation. But Lisa, I know you wanted to start with talking about the way abusers twist our spiritual beliefs to and use them against us to exert control and keep us stuck. Can you, and that's obviously something you experienced in your own life and also something I know you see a lot in your coaching work.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the reason that spirituality is and the abuse with spirituality is so insidious is abusers use the very things that are meant to bring us peace and connection and meaning. It's how we look
Mm-hmm.
at the world, right? Even if we don't have a faith, it still instructs how we build frameworks around that. We
Right.
build belief systems. Um, for those that may be not religious, if you think about marriage, you may not believe in the institution of marriage as a religious perspective, but it is still something that navigates a lot of the world, especially in the Western world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that brings a lot of connotations. And so some of the most common ways spirituality gets weaponized is through language and through
Mm-hmm.
those religious connotations, mass, church, wherever they kind of speak about these things. So terms you may hear: forgiveness means forgetting. Like the Bible
Mm-hmm.
talks about forgiveness, therefore you need to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
um, I remember dear, sweet, sweet elders in my church that I looked up to who were told about what was going on, and they had me over for dinner and they said, you just need to forgive. Like, while I was actively being stalked, and they did not know that, but it was like, it was so painful because they were people I looked up to. And
Right.
they truly believed it. They had lived some really horrific things. They weren't naive people to the world of what they had seen. So they had seen pain, they had seen suffering. And this was a belief. And it really was like just, you need to forgive and like move on, and marriage is important and it's essential, and like the family, you have to keep it together.
Yeah.
And it plays with your mind, right? Have I made the right
It
decision? I
does.
had already left at that point, but you're right, marriage is important. What am I doing stepping away from that? Like, what are people
Right.
going to say? The church doesn't embrace divorce. Culture doesn't always embrace divorce. People don't know what to do with divorced people, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it just plays on the emotions and the thoughts.
Hmm.
um but yeah, forgiveness means forgetting is a very, very common one, as well as
Yeah.
abusers using and quoting scripture.
Yeah.
um
So my abuser, like I said, I'm not coming from a background of a religious practice like you were, but at the time we were together, and I do still meditate a lot, but I was leaning very much more towards Buddhism,
okay.
and so that belief system was used against me in terms of, when if I would react, he would push my buttons enough that I would react in anger.
Mm.
It would then get turned around on me to like, oh, well, I guess all that meditation isn't doing you much good, or aren't Buddhists supposed to be pacifists? And, so it gets in your head, and it makes you question your right to set boundaries, because if I am trying to be this peace loving person and this peaceful person, maybe I shouldn't set those boundaries, right? Is that somehow going against this spiritual belief? Or I guess I'm failing spiritually because I'm having these human reactions.
Right.
So even I just wanted to put that out there as a different example of how, different language can be turned around and kind of used to get in your head and weaponize whatever belief system you happen
Yeah.
to be part of.
So what's interesting is the next one I was going to talk about is kind of being submissive,
Mm-hmm.
submit, or be humble, kind of that similar language, right? Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're a good Christian, if you have solid faith, if you are leaning towards something that infuses you to be gentle and peaceful,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't know if boundaries was ever talked about, because the boundaries were always broken.
Right.
So it wasn't, so to go on your example, when I was told to submit, it was that guilt, it was that shame. It was like, oh, right, that's my role. I'm supposed to
Right.
submit. I'm supposed to
Right.
submit. So there was no, you're breaking my boundary. It was, I am a shameful person and I have not reached, I'm not faithful enough. I'm not Christian enough. I'm not, like, I have to pray more.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
because there were no boundaries was never spoken about or talked about in the context of spirituality, which I think
Yeah.
is awful. Really, it's
Yeah.
damaging.
Yeah. It is. It very much is. Yeah.
Yeah.
The emphasis is placed on that submission rather than the rather than the do unto others piece, which I think be like the major piece of the conversation when it comes to spirituality, right? Rather than
Right.
submit to whatever horrible behavior someone wants to throw your way.
Right. And it's those beautiful spiritual traditions of humility and service,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Which are absolutely beautiful and qualities that I want in my life, but
Right. These are not bad
they're
things.
not, but the abusers reframe it, right? They put it back in your face. Like, you have no right to question me. Like,
Right.
it was in my, I remember going to counseling with X, and uh, we had a whole theological discussion with our therapist, which, if you marry a theologian, that's what you're going to get, is a lot. Well, a narcissist
Yeah.
also. So love to
Right.
hear
Yeah.
themselves talk. But the whole
Yeah.
conversation
Love a good
was,
debate.
it was, oh yeah. Um, we both married at 19, and we both agreed that he would be head of the household and
Mm-hmm.
that I would submit to him as the wife, as the woman in the house.
Yeah.
As I evolved, I wanted to revisit that. And it was kind of like, what if we could be equals in the relationship? And I
Mm-hmm.
remember working really hard with a therapist to try and have this conversation with my partner. And he came in and he was like, no, I don't want to change how it works. This works for me. And I was like, it's not
Of
working
course it
for
works for you.
me. Of
Yeah.
course it is. Can we say patriarch? Can we say
Right.
all the things that go with this?
Yeah.
But it was this. So as I was learning and growing in my faith, I would bump into this strong willed person that did use it against me and weaponized it. So it almost squelched my faith into being smaller as well. As we
Mm-hmm.
talk about that, right? We get smaller and smaller, but
Yep.
my faith became harder and harder to manage outside of our relationship. Like it became, even though we were pastors, we did not pray together. We did
Mm.
not talk about such things together. We agreed. I had my area, he had his area. So it was the least spiritual relationship that I had, which is ironic.
Yep.
Um, but that's how again, the way that it played out in my relationship was it was used against me. It was up here. He was up here and I was down here.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and speaking up, you were prideful, you were arrogant, it was your ego talking, like,
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um I heard divorce is not God's will. When I think about how many people have suffered and how many people are suffering right now because they don't feel like they can leave their partner, it's one of the things, it's another guilt, it's another shame that is
Right.
held on to, um, on how it's going to be perceived. God's plan or karma is used to
Mm-hmm.
justify suffering. um, Someone will tell you, I have personally not heard it, but suffering is part of God's divine plan.
Mm-hmm.
um it's time, you're being tested, it's okay, you'll come out the other side.
Yep.
So very like trying to spiritually bypass harm, physical harm, mental harm, all the harm that's happening. um yeah, it's so tender. It's so hard. I don't think there's many places in our culture where we can talk about spirituality in a
Mm-mm.
really open way and we can share and exchange ideas. So when it is being weaponized in your relationship, it's your soul, it's you.
Right.
That's my belief. That's it. Like it's my heart talking to your heart, right? It's very
Right.
vulnerable, it's very
It's
authentic.
it's a very intimate part of our lives. Yeah. And when it's used, yeah, you're right. There aren't a whole lot of spaces that we, again, in Western American culture can go to talk about these things. So spiritual abuse is not abuse in general is not well understood. Spiritual abuse is even less understood. So when
Yeah,
you're experiencing it, it's there aren't many places you can turn to try to make sense of it and try to navigate your way through it.
yeah, yeah. I think the layers, because of the unique pain, the layers of healing can be so hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
um because they're not, some would say it's not even emotional abuse, it's not physical abuse, but they are severing your connection to meaning. how
Mm-hmm.
you how you in your, I don't know how to explain it. It's when I'm sitting here and I'm drinking my coffee and I'm meditating or I'm looking out at beauty, that is me connecting with the world. But when you have these voices and you have this person that's intruded every area of your life, there
Mm-hmm.
is no peace. There is no, I'm just sitting here minding my own business and really
Right.
wanting to connect, because you've got the eggshells, because you've got the voices.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're being selfish for taking time by yourself. If you pray,
Right.
it should be this very specific way. Oh, you pray wrong. Why do you pray like that? Like the things, the spiritual practices, well, that's not how I find God. Like that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
stupid that you walk out like, um you think the trees are beautiful? Like you think God really created the trees? Like, obviously not from my partner, but just so many things, so that when you are
Mhm.
able to quieten your soul and you're able to sit in peace, it's not peaceful.
Right. Yeah, like I said, it ruptures that connection to something outside of ourselves. Um, and that's probably the point, right? Is to keep us disconnected and keep us feeling small and not. I mean, when I am meditating, or I find it a lot when I exercise, I have those moments of connection where I just feel, it's like I feel bigger than my skin
Oh,
almost,
I
right?
love
And you
that.
just
Yeah.
feel that connection to the rest of the world around you and to some kind of deeper meaning than just the mundane day to day. But when that's deliberately being sabotaged, it's isolating you from everything, from the world around you, from your soul, from those deeper connections that are just, it's in our DNA to want those deeper connections.
Right.
And
Right.
we're being told that we don't deserve them
Right.
because we're not doing it right, or, what have you.
Right. Right. And for
It's very
many people,
isolating.
it's very isolating, and for many people it gives them their sense of purpose,
Right.
right? It's their
Yep.
moral compass. It is their community. One of the
Yeah.
things that I realized when I was at a point where I needed to speak out against what was happening to me, I was very well aware that I was going to lose my community.
Yeah.
Not only my community, which was the church that I was part of, but all the other, coworkers, communities that I had built around the world, that I had been part of
Mhm.
for years, I knew was going to go away. And so, yeah, spirituality, faith, belief system, they impact more than the day to day.
Mhm.
Connecting with something larger than yourself, kind of like you said, you feel bigger than your skin. Hope for the future,
Mhm.
right? Comfort in difficult times.
Right.
I
All of that
do,
gets stripped away.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You, it again, you don't just lose that connection and that relationship with the higher power, spirit, source. Again, it's really hard for me not to think of all the ways that you can say these things.
Right. Yeah.
um when you lose connection with that, you lose framework on how to heal.
Mhm.
So when you look forward to healing, it's like, well, I don't know what I believe anymore. Do I even
Right.
believe this
Do I
stuff?
even believe anything anymore? Yeah.
Right, right. um And a lot of times, rebuilding from spiritual abuse is really building that foundation. You
Yeah.
grew up in the Catholic Church. I grew up in the Catholic Church. Whether we like it or not, that is part of how we view the world. And we've
Right.
had to unpack that. We've had to, we get to revisit that. But there's a lot
Yeah.
of unspokens, right? There is a lot of things that we probably aren't even aware of that resort back to that. Good and evil. Some people
Right.
don't
Yeah.
believe good and evil exists, but for me, I'm like, well, yeah, that exists because that's what I was taught.
Right.
That's why we were baptized, was we were
Right.
protected, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
It's a really complicated one to unravel. And I know I know in your coaching practice you help your clients with this, oftentimes unraveling this kind of thread of spirituality and healing from spiritual abuse, and kind of rediscovering that connection and that meaning in their lives in a new way, redefining it for themselves in,
yeah.
the second chapter.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit about what that looks like when you're walking with people through this.
Yeah, thanks. Um, there's so many questions. There's so many questions that people
Mhm.
ask, like, if I leave my relationship, am I abandoning my faith? Um, how do I know what I actually believe versus what was programmed into me, which we just talked about, right?
Yeah.
Um, the biggest one that I hear is, I can't be angry at God or the universe, or can I be angry at my higher power?
Mm.
Um, really significant, heavy questions.
Yeah.
Um, Again, it's how we frame, how we see the world. So what I tell my clients first and foremost is like, all questions are valid. The fact that you're asking these questions means that you're a little further in your journey, right? Because we've talked
Hmm.
about when you first get out, it's, do I have food on the table? Do I have a roof
Right.
over my head? Right.
Right. You're
So
not thinking about the
spirituality, yeah, spirituality kind of is not top priority.
right.
But if you are at a place where you're asking those questions, that's really great. It means you
That's a good
have that
sign, right?
awareness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and it's okay to question. It's okay to question. And you're starting to recognize that something that wasn't right.
Hmm.
And it is your act, just the fact that you're questioning is an act of reclaiming. Um, and there's a term that I have heard that I don't know is familiar in other faith journeys, but deconstruction. And deconstruction is when you actually get to take apart what, I believe that the Bible is true. Do I believe the Bible is true? I was
Mm.
taught that, and it justified a lot of sick behavior that happened to me. Who
Hmm.
wrote the Bible? Why do I believe this? Um, the extra layer that I brought into it was, I actually went to seminary. So I trained theologically. So
Right.
this really was taking it down to like, I built my life around stuff that I studied and spent a lot of money studying.
Right.
Um, and I'm supposed to teach others, but how does that work? Right? How does
Yeah.
that work? So again, it's, if you're asking the questions, questions are good. And
Hmm.
if you are part of a structure that doesn't allow you to ask questions, no matter what it is, that is a red flag,
Yeah. Yep.
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a huge, um, other red flags that we talk about, because I think red flags are really important when talking about how to talk about this.
Hmm.
Um, Absolute authority without accountability,
Yep.
right? You've got a leader, you've got a partner, you've got a community that claims authority, but there's no human accountability. Red flag.
Yeah.
Um, Punishment for asking questions. Um, Love bombing can also happen in community, not just in relationship. So if you are part of a
Ooh.
spiritual community, come on in, we'd love to have you, new members, as someone that planted a church, we want people to come to our church. We want to love you. And sometimes
Hmm.
people get really authentic and real, and the leaders aren't able to handle it. And so it's like,
Mm.
ooh,
Interesting.
that person's divorced and they only have their kids every other week, and their kids are terrorizing when they show up. Like, maybe we forget to invite them to the potluck.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
people aren't malicious. I don't believe it's without intent, but it is that people are prickly. They don't
Mm.
fit in our box. And
Hmm.
therefore, that's kind of distance,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um, Obviously, financial exploitation. Um, and then you're responsible for others' behaviors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you submitted more to your husband, then maybe he wouldn't do that. Now, I had the
Right.
unique perspective of, I never spoke to anybody about my marriage because I was also a pastor. So I was like, they call it the fishbowl, like the glass fishbowl. So our entire family was just always watched, right? We lived in a small town.
Right.
So I never spoke to anybody about my marriage, but I hear that commonly from clients. If you did this, or like if you perform sexually, if you did what he asked you to do, I don't think he's asking too much. Why don't you just
Right.
do what he says to do?
If
Everything
you
will be
try, if you
fine.
just tried harder, maybe things would get better. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so again, these this doesn't happen, like it happens over time, but I also
Right.
think as we're healing, we can fall back into wanting sense of community. And it's really important that we understand those red flags, right? And those can be
Absolutely.
present not only in if we're looking for new partnership, but also
New
new
communities, new
community.
spiritual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like, no one shows up in our lives waving 10 red flags in our faces all at once, right? It's that gradual kind of slow build. And so if you're not actively I was going to say if you're not actively looking for it, but I don't want that sounds kind of paranoid, right? Because you don't want to walk around the rest of your life kind of assuming ill intent on everyone's behalf, but you do need to be aware of how these red flags show up and what they look like to you, right? And feel like for you too. Um, and that goes back to something that we talk about a lot, which is relearning how to listen to your gut. And that's something I know in a lot of spiritual abusive situations that itself is demonized, right? And we're told that we're not supposed to listen to our gut. We're supposed to listen to the authority figure or whatever, the Bible or whatever text the community uses or the faith practice uses. Listening to our gut is not accepted in these very strict kind of spiritual settings. So even just relearning how to listen to your instinct, I'm sure was a huge challenge for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, I think that's where we get to build the wise resilience.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wisdom. That's the, okay, let me go check out this church and see what's going on, right? Like,
Right,
let's see. But I'm also going to be not going to accept everything. I'm going to accept everything at face value, but I'm going to do my homework. So,
right.
I think that's really important too, as we're looking for red flags. Yes, we don't want to walk around cynical. However, sometimes it serves us.
Yeah, a little bit
I
of criticism never hurt anybody.
I am definitely got some East Coast in me, and East Coaster are
Oh
definitely
yeah.
cynical by nature. So I think that's kind of where the healing can start, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Is
just having that awareness.
having the awareness. Um, it's kind of working with that. I work with the framework of like raw, which is resilience, awareness, and wisdom.
Mm.
And so we kind of work. I love the like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like
Yes.
this is messy. Spirituality is messy.
It
It's
does not fit easily into frameworks. And again, if it does, it's probably being simplified and used in an authoritarian way rather than
exactly
a truly spiritual way.
right, right. So the resilience, the awareness, and the wisdom as we build them, they're all parallel tracks, right? Um, but finding your ground, right? When you're ready to kind of ask the questions and then you want faith to be part of your
Mm-hmm.
healing, when you want to sit with it and go, what do I find? What brings me joy? Which brings me peace?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
What makes
it's
me feel that connection?
a connection, and maybe that's spending time in nature. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's reading text from on your own terms,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Without someone interpreting them. So reading the
Mm-hmm.
Bible for the Bible without going to church or listening to a podcast and having someone offer commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so again, it's kind of building the capacity to connect with something meaningful without intermediaries. Is that the right way you say intermediate? You know what I mean?
Yes,
Um,
intermediary.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
you and your relationship. It's not everybody else's discussion of what's
yeah.
up. It's what you um and maybe you go for a walk and you take in a deep breath and you're just like, or maybe you take an exercise class and you're like, I feel like myself.
Mm-hmm.
um it's
Yeah,
huge. It's
it's huge.
huge.
I mean, it it doesn't have to be this like once in a lifetime experience, right? But we can have moments of connection, direct connection, like you said, without the intermediaries, without the other voices, without everything we've been told and taught and forced, to participate in over the years. Um, once we start getting curious about what that looks like for
Yes.
us, like these moments just start popping up more and more. I
Right.
mean, in my experience, at least,
Yes. Yeah.
it does start with that willingness to, as you said, find that ground again and
Right.
start to trust in spirituality again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I think that curiosity leads right into the awareness, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
distinguishing your voice or what speaks to your soul
Yep.
without the manipulation from
Yeah.
manipulation.
Yeah.
Um, and that's where it can be tricky because you have programmed responses. Every time I see someone do a sign of the cross, I'm always just like,
It's like muscle memory, right? Yeah.
and I was like, wait,
Every time,
I haven't been in a Catholic church in years, but like, boom.
right?
Or,
It comes back.
or I love to go to actual Catholic churches, like when I travel, because they're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They've been
The
around forever.
gorgeous.
But when I
Yeah.
walk in, I look for the holy water.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, but that's what you do. Or you
It is.
kneel before you genuflect before you get
Yeah, you
into a pew.
genuflect.
Like, it's just like, boom, boom,
It's so
boom.
deeply ingrained. Yeah.
So it's questions you can ask yourself is like, if you're reading text or you're experiencing something, like, what am I hearing in my head and whose voice is it?
Mm-hmm.
There is a very famous, for those that don't know, in the Bible, there is a Proverb 31, that has a biblical woman in it. And that is what young wives strive for. And it talks about how this woman, and she is what you strive for. So
Mm-hmm.
it is, she gets up before dawn. She prepares all her food. She sews clothes. She goes to the market and haggles. So she's a businesswoman.
Mm-hmm.
She cultivates her garden. She takes care of her body. Like all of the things. And now when I read it, it's really hard not to hear patriarch. It's really
Yeah.
not hard to go, damn, I was exhausted trying to keep up with,
Exhausted just hearing that.
right? Like, but yet I look around at traditional women over the generations and I'm like, well, it started somewhere and this makes
Mm-hmm.
sense why we're exhausted. So
Yeah.
it's
Right.
now, if you were to listen to that, it's like, does that bring you shame? Does that bring you
Mm-hmm.
peace? Like
Mm-hmm.
how do I detach myself from that and
Right.
maybe see beauty in it, or just not have that be a standard, right? But how
Right.
divorce fits in, if you're supposed to be a Proverbs 31 woman, it doesn't,
Right.
right? But like,
Yeah.
this is like t-shirts. I swear, if you Google search, won't get out of it. It's, and this is where the deconstruction comes apart. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a ridiculous amount of standards for a woman. Who wrote the Bible? Wait, men wrote the Bible? But it was
Right.
God inspired, but God is represented as a male. Do I believe that God really wrote the Bible, or like it's infallible, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so it can become really heavy, but it's also part of the journey of asking the questions.
Mm-hmm.
There's no shame in it. There's no
Mm-hmm.
shame in going, this belief no longer serves me.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I actually have tarot cards. I have crystals. I
Mm-hmm.
have oils. I have rituals that I do with the moon. Like, there's so many other things that I feel connected to source,
Mm-hmm.
um, and giving yourself permission to kind of explore that, and then
Mm-hmm.
trusting yourself as that spiritual authority.
Yeah, I mean that's a big one. Even just again, my background is far different from yours, but even just having been raised Catholic and gone to Catholic school for as long as I did, tarot cards. Oh dear God, right? Like, and I have a couple of sets myself. I use most mornings as part of my
Yeah.
morning practice. But I mean, when I first started using them years after I had gone to Catholic mass, right? I was already a very, very lapsed Catholic by the time this became part of my spiritual practice, right?
Yeah.
But even then, it's so deeply ingrained. Like, am I gonna like get possessed by some demon for you,
Right.
but for using these cards, right? So
Right.
that overcoming those voices and getting to the point where you do trust yourself as that spiritual authority, or as a spiritual authority, right? Not the end all and be all, but trusting that your gut instinct plays a part in all of this too. That's, even if you did not experience significant spiritual abuse in your journey, that's still
Yeah.
hard. That is hard as shit to do,
Yeah.
to overcome those voices and learn to trust your own again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's where, even though all of these are happening in parallel, I definitely would put it survivor to thriver, right? Again,
Mm-hmm.
as a victim, we're not thinking the top priority is
Right,
spirituality.
right.
Um, but exploring, having, again, feeling into your body what resonates, what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and embracing the joy and the peace that comes with it, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
allowing yourself to. So it's the permission.
Yeah.
Um, um,
And getting to that point where you realize that if something, be it a person, be it a spiritual practice, a teaching, what have you, if it's making you feel shameful and fearful and small, that's not right.
it's not
Right?
serving.
That's
Yep.
that's not serving you. That's not true spirituality. That's abuse.
Right.
Right? That's not love. That's not respect. That is abuse. Getting to the point where you can connect those dots and say, yes, I do value things like humility and service and all these beautiful things that we're taught in so many religious practices, spiritual practices. That doesn't mean being that I myself am being harmed. That doesn't they're not equal, right? That doesn't equate to
Right.
I have to be harmed, I have to make myself smaller, I have to feel shame and feel fear.
Right. I don't have to serve. I don't have to be humbled to the point that I'm harmed,
Right.
that I'm harming
Right.
myself or being harmed by others.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so what does spirituality and healing actually look like? Right.
Yeah.
Um,
These are huge concepts, but actually bringing it down to be like, you wake up on a Tuesday morning. What does that look like?
right.
What do you do? Right.
Right. And many women I work with can't pray, can't meditate,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
don't engage in spiritual practices because it's so tied to what was used against them. They feel
Right.
guilty. They feel that fear. They feel that shame.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing we do is remove that, right? We remove the guilt. We recognize it's our nervous system protecting us, and that's
Mm-hmm.
healthy.
Yeah.
Um, and then we get curious, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What did spirituality feel like before the abuser?
Yeah.
And sometimes for some of us that's childhood.
Yep.
And if this doesn't, sometimes we talk about imagination, we talk about maybe just feeling free in our bodies, right? Because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
people don't understand. I met my abuser at 16. So for me to think, it's kind of like what we've talked about in other episodes, like, what do I even like?
Right.
Right? What do I
Yeah.
even do?
Right.
It's
Your
like,
adult brain was not fully formed when this all
right,
started for you.
exactly. So it's what is my soul hungering for? What am and again, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to explain that in a tangible way. I wish that I could, but I believe that
Yeah.
everybody has a soul. Everybody has that intuition within them. And it may take some time to sit with and to think about when the time is right. But silence. Sometimes people feel stillness and silence feels peaceful to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's spiritual,
Yeah.
right? I can be sitting in a very crowded place, and because of meditation, I can sit sometimes with chaos around me and feel I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm having a spiritual experience, being able to see what's going on around me. Sometimes this activates me, and I'm like, I'm going to go organize a closet.
Right. This is too much.
Right. But again, that's me taking care of my soul.
Hmm.
Being outside in nature.
Hmm.
Again, not anybody else's interpretation, but just, I mean, people talk about touching grass, right? Like, I'm just going to go
Hmm. Yeah.
outside and take a deep breath and feel the sunshine in my face. That is a soul. Not a soul, but it's a soul connection. It is
Hmm.
a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't pray, but you want to. Maybe you write. Maybe you don't say it out loud. Maybe you do say it out loud and you don't write it down.
Hmm.
Maybe it just starts with one word.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Being part of community without hierarchy.
Yeah.
No one is in charge. We are all equal. We are all part of what makes this, and we all recognize what everybody brings to the table.
Yeah.
Um, this one sometimes drives me bananas, but like questions without answers.
We humans do not like ambiguity.
No.
It's a part of the world we live in. It just is. It's a part of our experience as humans on this earth. Yeah,
And
getting I wouldn't even say comfortable because I don't think we ever get comfortable with that, but like getting okay with that.
yeah, but like some questions I don't believe are supposed to be answered. Or if you talk to five different people, you're going to get five different answers.
Right. And all of them are valid.
All of them are valid.
Hmm.
And then also, if you are talking to someone with the big question and all five people have the right answer and are looking at you because you don't have the right answer, red flag.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that's what happens. Sometimes people get so indoctrinated
Hmm.
that they don't have a question. It's all answered for them. And that's how they like
Right.
to live. Right.
Right.
So it can be so dangled. Um, and I can't say this enough. And I know, I've had so many clients struggle with this, like anger is a valid and sacred emotion.
Hmm.
You get to be angry. You get to be
Yep.
angry at humanity, at God, higher power, your abuser, society, whatever. That is sacred, anchored
Yeah.
emotion, and you have permission to feel it.
Yep.
Um, Again, so many spiritual faiths or spiritual or religious texts and communities tell us to forgive. Don't be
Hmm.
angry, forgive.
Don't
Anger
be
is bad.
angry.
Anger is
Turn the
evil.
other cheek. Right. Yep.
Yes. Um, and I think you and I have both talked about, or maybe it was with someone else, like I've gone to a rage room. I've smashed shit.
I have not done that yet, and I want to so badly. I
Oh,
think that would be so much fun.
it is so much fun. It really is like feeling connected with body, but sometimes it's like, what happened to me was not okay.
Right.
This is not okay. What's happening in the world is not okay. And I
Right.
get to feel rage about it. I get to feel
Right.
anger.
Because that rage and that anger is stemming from a place of love,
Yeah.
right? Like our anger at things happening in the world right now is stemming from a place of because we love our communities and we want better for them, right? Our anger at the abusive situations that we were placed in, it stems from a love for ourselves, a love, our soul's love for ourselves, our soul finally standing up for us and saying, no, that
Right.
wasn't okay. Right. Just like we
Right.
would stand up for the kids in our life if
Right.
they were being harmed. Right. No one would question that rage.
Right.
But when it comes to your soul protecting you, it's
Right.
no, you're supposed to forgive and turn the other cheek. You can do both. Right. You
Right.
can get to a point, maybe not forgiving, but get to a point where rage does not mean that you want to go out and harm someone. I think is what I'm
Right.
trying to say, right? It's a
Yes.
healthy expression of your boundaries
Yes.
that have been when they've been violated.
Yes. Yes. And I want to believe in a world where my higher power does feel rage for me,
Hmm.
that is
Yeah.
cheering me on, like, get that rage out of you. You are absolutely correct to feel that, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, I believe part of my spirituality is I stand on the shoulders of many generations that have come before, and I am a
Hmm.
cycle breaker. like what happened to me was not, I am not the first person in my lineage for this to happen to, and fuck if it's going to
Hmm.
happen anywhere else. So I
Right? Yeah.
think about those when I am struggling. I think about those generations that are standing, that are bearing witness to me, and just saying it's okay, let it out,
Right.
because that's what I
Right.
want. That's what I want it to look like, because I get to choose.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
Which is kind of a great segue into some of the last things we wanted to talk about today, which is permission to choose, permission to
Yeah.
redefine your spirituality for yourself without all of those voices. So Lisa, what other permission slips do you want to give
Yeah.
people today?
Yeah. Um, we're talking a lot about spiritual practices. Take a break if it doesn't serve. If it feels
Hmm.
tainted, if it feels like you said, like if it doesn't feel good, maybe it never will. Don't force
Right.
yourself if it's
Right.
traumatizing you. We talked about anger. It's okay to be angry at your higher power. Um,
They can take it, I promise.
yeah, exactly. And it doesn't make you less faithful.
Right.
If you believe in a higher power, I was taught that God was omnipotent. He was all knowing everywhere. And so I'm like, you already know what's going on in my brain. So for
Right.
me to verbalize it, it's just me verbalizing it because you already
Right.
know, right?
Yes.
Sometimes when I pray, people kind of look at me with a side eye, and I'm like, well, I'm just speaking truth. Like, this is fucked up. God, you know this is fucked up, right? And it's like, um, cherry pick.
Yes.
Cherry
Spiritual buffet.
pick. Yes, yes, yes. So I love that spiritual buffet. And some of it may not feel good. Maybe you look
Mhm.
at crystals and you just see it as a rock. I have crystals that I hold on to, and I'm just like, this soothes me. This makes me
Mhm.
feel better. I understand this has power. I believe in that. The
Mhm.
tarot cards, spiritual decks, they're not even tarot cards. I have a wisdom deck that I use.
Mhm.
Um, Permission to change your mind,
Yep.
right? Like,
Yep.
oh, I used to meditate for 5 minutes and that used to help me. And now I can't concentrate and that's actually not helping me anymore. And that's okay.
That's okay.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, permission to never be over it.
That's a heavy one, but
Yeah,
it's for many of it's the reality.
yeah. I mean, the truth is that I spent a significant part of my life building my life, my career. I taught my kids. I built our family's foundation. We built our family's foundation on it. So I don't, I want to be over it, but
Yeah.
people hurt us in the context of what God told them to do. People didn't show up for us. People knew behaviors that were going on and let it go on.
Mhm.
I'm not going to get over that. It doesn't define me anymore, but I don't have to get to a place of enlightenment or arrival or spirituality where that no longer bothers me.
Right.
And that's the whole point. See episode one of our expectations. We are healing. We do not
Right.
believe that you get to a point of being healed.
There is,
Um,
yeah, it's not a destination where you cross the finish line and you're magically healed and you never experience the pain or you never get triggered again. You never, I mean, this holiday season has been rough for me. I have had more panic attacks in the month of December 2025 than I had in a long time leading up to it. I have the tools to manage them now, and I embrace that as part of this new life that I've created for myself, and this more resilient, this wiser woman that I've become. But that doesn't make them any less painful or any more fun.
Right.
right? I'm not like, ooh, goody, another panic attack today. I've
Right.
just kind of accepted that and integrated it into my new reality and my new identity.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
getting over it, it's not a destination that you reach. There is no like
Right.
over it mountain that you get to scale and then you're done.
Right.
I
Right.
wish there were. That'd be great. But it's just
Yeah.
we'd be lying to people if we said that that were the reality,
Right. Right.
right?
And hopefully December 2026, there's less panic
Yeah.
attacks,
Yep.
or you'll have different tools, more
Or I'll have
tools
different
to
tools.
manage it.
Yep.
So,
Or it'll be something completely different triggering them. So I'll at least get to switch it up.
AKA my Christmas of 2025. But let's digress. Um, and also, again, hope it goes without saying, if you have people in your life that are pushing you to forgive or pushing you to get over it, it's okay to set boundaries. Maybe that person's
Mhm.
not a healthy person to be around. Maybe that
Mhm.
person is not someone that you talk to these things about. That's
Yep.
where the wisdom comes in, right?
Right.
I have
Exactly.
had friendships where I have just no longer talked about certain things. And then it has
Yep.
gotten to a point where it's like, no, I need to have authentic relationships. And if I can't speak my truth and then accept it, then this person isn't for me anymore. So it's boundaries can look different ways in different seasons of your life, but it's okay. You don't have to be part of those communities or those people, or simply say, oh, I'm not talking to you about that. You
Right.
know,
And
um,
the on the other side of the coin, if your friend's family member, loved one in the spiritual community with someone who has suffered from abuse, specifically spiritual abuse, and they set those boundaries with you, believe them.
yes.
Believe them when they say this is what I need right now or this is not what I need right now, right?
Yeah.
Even if
Yeah.
you think even if you have very strong beliefs and that you think would help this person, right? You don't know their experience. You will never know their lived experience because we can't know anyone else's lived experience. So when someone says, no, that's, I can't engage with that right now, I can't have that conversation, I'm choosing not to think about that thing or that thing in that way, believe them, right?
Right.
Don't push them on it.
Right, right. And I think this is a great segue into like how supporters can offer support, right? Advocates,
Mm-hmm.
allies, family and friends. I think along with that, if you have a strong faith and you have someone in your life that doesn't want to engage, you still get to pray for them anyway. You just don't need to tell them, right?
Right,
Like
right,
you can
exactly.
still honor your faith and still honor their boundaries and their faith.
Exactly.
Um,
It's not one or the other.
but I will tell you that if you do not defend the institution and do not defend the abuser when it comes to the spirituality, if you have both gone to the same church and had the similar experiences, and there's, or not similar, if they have had experiences that you have not, do not defend.
Right.
Even if it is not your experience, that does not matter. Do not
Yep.
defend. That is not helpful. That is going to put a huge wall um,
Yep. You will
behind
no longer be
it.
a safe person
No,
for that
again,
survivor.
you can still have your faith and you can still have your own relationship and you can still love this person. And that is a
Mhm.
boundary that you can recognize isn't something that you need to do.
Yep.
Um, yeah. And I think
Yep.
the other thing that I would just say about that is so many of these tips when we talk about helping the people that you love, some of them, so many of them can transfer over, right? Like
Yeah.
believe them. That's
Right.
just believe them.
That's like baseline. Yeah, you're gonna hear that in
Basic,
every episode.
right? Give them space when they
Give them
need it.
space.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
but I think when it comes to spirituality, it is even more complex.
Hmm.
So
I
create
mean,
space
we're
for
having
that.
trouble finding the words to even express these concepts. It's
Right.
probably the most complex thing that we deal with as humans is trying to put labels on this thing that
Right.
by its very existence is ineffable, right? It's
Right.
unknowable. We're trying to
Right.
just wrap our little human minds around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, let them love or hate their traditions.
Hmm.
Let them grieve what was taken from them, while celebrating their freedom.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't want to celebrate one holiday, but the next holiday they do, don't question that. Just roll with it. It could change up
Right.
again, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, don't judge if someone wants to opt out of something that
Yep.
is has a faith background attached to it. You have no idea what's going
Yeah.
on in the background of that. But if someone needs to opt out of Easter dinner or Hanukkah, or Christmas service, just let them.
Let them. Yeah.
Let them.
Yep.
So
Yeah. And I mean, that could be challenging, but someone else's healing is not, it's not a challenge to your beliefs or your spiritual community, right? That's
yeah,
their healing path. Your spiritual path is completely, they're not they're not the same thing, right? So
right,
don't, if someone opting out of something is challenging you, that's valid. Especially
yeah,
if you and that person had, had that bond of spiritual community. That's a valid feeling, is to struggle with that, but work through that on your own, or with a therapist, or with someone besides them. Don't put
right,
it on them to help you walk through that challenge, right? Like,
right.
you are allowed to feel your feelings and have to navigate them, but do it on your own time.
Yeah, exactly. Which again transfers to a lot of what we've said before.
Right.
Work out your own stuff. Don't put it on the on the survivor to help you figure it out.
Yeah.
So as we close out, as we move, like, again, it's always moving towards wisdom, building that resilience,
Mm-hmm.
moving towards thriving. um what I do know after years of work, both personally and professionally, spiritual abuse is one of the deepest violations because it attacks meaning itself.
Yeah.
It's how people view the world. Um, and the incredible thing is, when you rebuild your spiritual foundation on your terms, it's unshakable.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is unshakable. And it can offer such an anchor. It
Yeah.
really can. And so, if you're on the journey, if you're just starting the journey, just keep going. And yeah, it's possible to rebuild your foundation. It is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much sweeter because it's built on you and
It's
what you
yours.
connect with.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, as always, we're building a community here of people who are on this journey together, and we're refusing to let our past define our futures. We are reclaiming these stories and these beliefs and getting to choose how the rest of our life goes. So we would love to hear from you. If anything in this episode resonated with you, you have something to share about your own journey with spirituality or healing from spiritual abuse, we'd absolutely love to hear from you, and keep that conversation going. And in the meantime, as always, thank you for being here and
yes.
joining us. And we could keep talking for another 2 hours, but we won't. We hope you continue to listen and share this with anyone you think might benefit. You can find all of our contact below, as well as resources and our standard kind of disclaimer that these are our own lived experiences. We're not coming from a place of trained mental health professionals. We are engaging in the conversation of healing with each other and with all of you. Um, so stay safe and take care of yourselves.
And remember, this may get raw, building wise resilience. Until the next time.
You've survived the storm, and now it's time to thrive. So let's keep rising. See you
Bye-bye.
next time.